Good afternoon, friends, followers, and channel members. Welcome to our flight from Paris to Ajaccio. I'm pretty certain I'm not pronouncing that right. Either way, we're off to Lima Foxtrot Kilo Juliet. And at the time that the operational flight plans have been prepared, the winds favoured runway 20. Okay, you actually need a license for your airline needs a license to land runway 20. But that's the beauty of the simulator. So we'll keep an eye on those winds, and if runway 20 is favourable, then we'll go for it. To be honest, because of the terrain surrounding that airport, they tend to always use the other runway. But it's a simulator, we can have a little bit of fun, can't we? And what a great way to spend a Thursday afternoon. I am working away all weekend again, I'm afraid, so this is going to be our last stream of the work. So I thought I'd make it a good one, and quite a lengthy one too. Our flight time is just under 2 hours, about 1 hour 46 or something like that. So it's it should be good fun. The operational flight plan has been sent to you. It is in the chat if you're watching on YouTube. Welcome to any Twitch viewers as well who may be getting on board. So now you've got all that, let's just see who's skiving who's skiving work today. Welcome Mark, Brian, Crawley, Drew, Arthur, good to see you. Nick's here as well. Dark Fury, good afternoon. Hope you are all doing well, not working too hard. Frank WG Abbott, good to see you as well. Oh, right, shall we get started then? Nice long flight. There is going to be at some point plenty of time for me to just nip to the galley and grab a cup of tea. I've gone and I have started this flight and I've not got a cup of tea, so there's a rookie mistake to begin with. Another rookie mistake was choosing this particular taxiway, this particular parking stand, and I shall explain a little more once we start doing some briefings. Right, shall we get on board? So our aircraft is in the turnaround state. Let's go ahead and get the latest weather. I don't think there's any air traffic control on board here, no, so we're completely on our own. Let's have a look then. So the weather here in Paris, Saint-Germain, we have got a QNH of 1002. Few clouds, 1,900 feet, broken 2,500 feet, and the temperature is 6 degrees. I tell you what, I'm going to sound so British here. What about this weather that we're having in England? It was 20 odd degrees last week. T-shirts, shorts. This morning we woke up to snow. It only happens in England. Dark Fury, I saw you on Discord last night trying to get to grips with the Concorde. God bless you. Finished in pilot. Good afternoon to you. Right, let's check. So what have we got? We've got a zero fuel weight of 58.1. Let's go through and have a look at our operational flight plan then, shall we? So shear rate looks good. Cost index of 8. Level 330. Very minor tailwind. 568 miles, or just under 6.5 tons plug fuel. Let's have a look as we check down the route for anything that jumps out at us. Some high terrain as we start to make our approach, as we can see. In fact, that's not starting to make our approach, that's as we head over the Alps. We're not crossing the highest point of the Alps today, so Alps still below flight level 100, so that's alright for decompression reasons. We've got an RNAV approach, a very special RNAV approach today. That's going to be fun if all goes to plan. Let's have a look then at the weather in Ajaccio. We've got, I'm going to call it Napoleon Bonaparte Airport. It's easier. So we've got wind 250 at 10. Yeah, so still that runway is preferred. Few at 100 feet. That's not good. What have we got in the forecast then? We have got wind still looking to come from the west, broken 6,000 to 9,000, and I'm just checking now, see what the wind's going to be doing. Sort of about here, yeah, so it is going to drop off later tonight, but that's later tonight. I don't want to still be flying later tonight. I have somewhere to be. We've got alternates of Malpensa, Marseille, Sestri, and we're obviously departing Charles de Gaulle. So we're going to definitely take some extra fuel on board with us as well. Let's have a look at the SIGMET charts. I'm going to be a little bit naughty and ignore the NOTAMs, particularly as there's no ATC on board. But we've got some icing and turbulence in this section here, so another good reason to throw in a little bit more fuel. Not so much for our cruise, we should be above it in the cruise, but certainly during the descent. So let's have a think what we're going to throw on there. Well, it's not the straightforward approach. If anything goes wrong, we need to add. Let's throw an extra ton on. Let's go 7.5 tons of fuel. There's plenty on board there, and we can take that. Yeah, 7.5 tons of fuel. Let's tell the ground crew to sort that out. In fact, I say tell the ground crew to sort that out. Where's the fuel done? There it is. I'm still getting used to this new AFB. I do love it. I think it's wonderful, but I'm still getting used to where everything is. Right, 7.5 tons. Off we go. Right, whilst that's refueling, let's get that APU started. 1, 2, 3. There we go. 777, the SimSmart takeoff calculator. We wanted to try and get it done by the end of this week. We literally have a list. In fact, I can tell you there are about 23 things on the list we need to get done prior to release. So as soon as we can sort that out, it will be released. And then after that, we'll have updates rolling out automatically. Right, so APU is running. Let's just do a quick check of everything. So we're checking the overhead for its turnaround state. That all looks good. We've got the center console, again, everything where it should be. Flight deck door is currently open. Sun shining on the transponder, so you can't see the numbers, but that is squawking 2000. Initial climb out today should be flight level 120, so we'll go ahead and set that up. We'll get the constraints turned on. Flight directors are on. Screens are all on as well. Right, let's come down and look at setting up the box. I'm having issues with my server port at the minute, so I'm not using a tablet. We're going to be doing old school, and I'm using the mouse. So we'll do init press, init data request. There we go. And from there, let's check. We've got 3 nav green, and the aircraft status is correct. LEAP engines and the valid direct cycle. Okay, init request then. Let's put in the alternate, which is Lima India Mike Charlie. I would have thought something like Nice would have been better, but I will be honest, I was in a little bit of a rush to set this up. But Lima India Mike Charlie it is. It does take a lot longer, I think, using the mouse than the flypad. There's our flight number, costing index of 8, flight level 330. The cruise is 58. I thought that was correct then, it's not, it's a 0, so minus 58. And the tropo is 32034. Now, how are we doing APU? Are we up and running? There we go. APU bleed's coming on. We'll give that a minute and we'll let some passengers on. Let's have a look at the flight plan. So we're going to be departing today on 26 right. And that is on the LATRA 5 Echo. LATRA, make sure I spell this correctly, 5 Echo. LATRA 5 Echo, there we are. Just check for discontinuities. No, all is good there. And then the arrival at the other end then is going to be the RNAV 20, and that is the Varric 2 Fox. Varric 2 Fox. And Kilo Juliet, is it 600 or 601? The initial approach fix. Hang on. It's 6:01 today. And insert. Nick, you said you had this problem with the tablet as well. You found that switching the auto off and on the EFB connection page fixes it. We can have a try at that, Nick. Remind me once we're in cruise and we can have a little play, see if that works. Distance then of 562. I've got 568 on the operational flight plan. That's lovely. Right, let's get some charts up. So for the departure, we've obviously got Paris Charles de Gaulle, which is Papa Golf Sierra. Let's get that in. And that is a little bit of situational awareness then here. There we go. And then onto the init B page. Just before we do that, let's start getting the passengers boarded, shall we? That APU bleed has been running for long enough now. So I don't know why I just turned that off. Forget I turned that off. It's fine. The packs are on now. Let's get the weights added into the McDo as well.
Cabin crew, we're all happy with how things are up here, so you can now open the doors and start letting our passengers on board. Thank you.
There we go. So onto the init B page. So our zero fuel weight today is going to be 58.1. And pop in a standard empty CFG. Trip wind is, as mentioned, a small tailwind today of 5, and we've got 4.3 tons. We're taking 7.5. Takeoff weight then becomes 65.4. We'll use 65.5 for our performance calculations. Fuel for the alternate, call that 2 tons. That gives us an extra flying time of 47 minutes. That's a decent amount of time for if anything goes wrong on the flight today. Right, let's have a look at the performance page then. So get SimSmart fired up. Where are we? Lima Fox Papa Golf. And it's going to be runway 26 right. There we go. Oh, I've got manual entry put in instead of automatic. Well, to be honest, manual entry is more realistic than automatic entry, but let's pop it in then. So the wind is currently 010 at 13. The temperature is 6. The QNH is 1002. Runway conditions dry. Anti-ice will be off for this departure. I'm just thinking of that cloud base. Scattered 2200. Yeah, anti-ice will be off for the departure. Takeoff weight is 65.5. CFG is forward. Flex. Config 1. And packs will be off. Good long runway, so I am expecting a high flex. There we go. Alright, let's get all that information put in. What was it? Just confirm that. So we've got flex 67, 153, 153, 154. Good long runway, so all the V-speeds are very close to each other again. Thrust reduction altitude. Oh, noise abatement 1 departure showing here. And there's our engine out procedure. Okay, let me just go ahead and pop that in. So 153, 153, and 154. Flaps 1. Flex is 67. Transition altitude here is 5,000 feet. Thrust reduction and acceleration is 1815 and 3315. Wait for that to update. And then the engine out is 1315 as well. So, all slightly different values. Today, there we go. Lovely. So, SimSmart, the performance calculator, we're edging even closer to its release. If you want to stay really up to date with this, then join our Discord server, and there's a dedicated SimSmart channel in there as well, letting you know how we're getting on. We're talking days now, not weeks, until its release, which is quite exciting, of course. Leonardo, how do you know if the centre of gravity is forward or not? So, the takeoff CFG is forward if your aircraft centre of gravity is below 27%. Anything above 27% or 27% and above is considered normal. Right, that's all done. Final passengers are getting on board. In fact, we think we've still got about 85 passengers on board. So let's do a departure brief then, shall we? Let's grab these charts and have a look. So we are parked at stand. Oh, do you know what? Actually, come back. I don't want to do a full length departure. I'm going to depart from intersection Tango 9. So, let me change, not full length. We're going to depart Tango 9, and the runway takeoff there available is 3241. So, let's just recalculate that. That's changed things, hasn't it? So, 66, 144, 144, 146. So 144, 144, and 146, and flex is now 66. It's still a massive length of runway to take off, so there you are. So for anyone that was wondering if intersection departures are allowed within SimSmart, indeed they are. Okay. So that's all sorted. Let's do our brief. So the weather here in Paris is not too bad. It's a little bit cloudy, but it's well above minimums. We're also below our maximum landing weight today for takeoff, so no issues coming back in here. Aircraft is the experimental version of the A320NX. And no NOTAMs, as I said, I've been a little bit naughty, not read the NOTAMs as we've got no ATC, and a little bit rushed for getting the flight done as well. So no NOTAMs. Threats to be aware of, well, obviously Paris is usually quite congested. So in the real world, Paris, lots and lots of air traffic. Also a noise abatement 1 departure, just keep that in mind. It's not something we do too often. We've no air traffic controllers here either online, so that could potentially be a threat. We need to make sure we're good enough on our unicoms so everyone knows where we are. Let's brief how we're going to do the taxi then. Well, this was the mistake I made. We're parked here at we're parked here at Sierra 4, I think it is. Oh no, we're parked here at Sierra 3. We're at stand Echo 21. So we are going to come and we're going to taxi out on Romeo to Tango 9. Yeah, the mistake I made, I nearly put us in here at Kilo 70. If that was the case, we'd have to go all the way up, down and round to come back. But given the configuration we're in, we're all right. We can go, and it's going to be... actually, it's going to be onto Tango, isn't it? Looking at the arrows. So we're on Tango, not Romeo. So we're going to push back, face south, taxi via Tango, then to intersection Tango 9. Let's have a look at our standard instrument departure. So nice straight out. We've got the overfly point of 264. That takes us down to Latra. There's also no speed restrictions during that either. Initial climb is flight level 120. So now we're just going to go ahead and make sure that those flight plan waypoints do indeed all match up. Something that we need to do and pay extra special attention to now VNAV is working. So we've got 264, 267, D-roll, Lalux, and then Latra. Beautiful. All that looks good. Last few passengers are coming on board. Then refueling, is that completed? Yes, it is. Let's get the fuel pumps on. we can get rid of the GPU as well, as the APU is obviously up and running. Seatbelt signs can come on, and I think we can now do our pre-start checklist. Sorry, before start checklist. Same thing. So cockpit preparation is complete. Our signs are on and auto. Ideas, we've got 3.5 green. Fuel quantity, we've got 7.5 tons, and that's balanced. FMGS is set, and altimeter is 1002, and that's 350 feet. "24 passengers remaining." So we'll just have a quick look, see what we've got outside. The sun's coming out now. That's beautiful. I do love little things like this. The reflection there, the glare, the sun glare at the top of the jetway. It's really nice, isn't it? Looks like we're going to be taking off into some awful clouds. So apologies to all of those who were hoping for a nice view. I've never seen sun done as well in any simulator as Microsoft Flight Simulator does. You really do get a sense of the heat from the sun. Well, not today, not in England, but generally, yes. Right, I think as well all the passengers are now on board. Hear them closing the doors.
Ladies and gentlemen,
hear the jetway disappearing as well.
EasyJet service. Please place your large bags into the overhead locker, wheels first, and keep your small items under the seat in front of you. These include laptops, handbags, duty-free and loose items of clothing. Once you have safely stowed your cabin bag, please take your seat. To help us ensure a prompt departure, we would kindly ask that you keep the aisle clear, enabling all remaining customers to board. Your seatbelt can now be fastened ready for departure. This is a no-smoking service. Thank you for observing this policy.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are all good here. One final check that we've got no air traffic control. No, we are completely on our own, at our own disposal. So let's go ahead and grab the ground crew. We'll pre-plan our push. I bet it takes a while to load at an airport such as this. Really good app, this. I know there were problems with it performance wise, but I haven't had anything major recently since its latest update.
Cockpit to ground. This is ground. Stand by.
Okay, so ground crew is getting into position. We'll announce our taxi then on Unicom. If we are on Unicom 1228, yep we are. Charles de Gaulle, traffic Alpine 578 Golf, pushing back from stand Echo 1 facing south. So beacon light coming on. Nose wheel steering is disconnected, acupressure's in the green, transponder set to auto. Before start checklist. Windows and doors are closed and armed. Beacon light is on, phone is on silent, parking brake is on. Okay, we're good to go. So let's release that parking brake. Engines will start once we're on the move.
It will start in the sequence.
Back we go. Engine mode selector to ignition and starting engine 1. Always do a paranoia check that I've got APU bleed on. I don't know why. Let's close the flight deck door as well, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, we now ask for your attention while we take you through the safety procedures on this aircraft. A safety card is in your seat pocket, showing the exit routes, oxygen masks, life jackets, and brace position that you must adopt if you hear brace, brace. There are 2 emergency exits at the rear, 4 in the middle, and 2 at the front of the cabin. Floor lighting will guide you to an exit. Please be aware that your nearest exit may be behind you. In an emergency, leave all cabin baggage on board. Your seatbelt is fastened, adjusted, and released as shown. It must be fastened when the seatbelt signs are on, and we recommend that you keep it fastened at all times. If the
Starting engine
exit
2.
fails, masks will drop from above you. Pull a mask towards you to start the oxygen. Put the mask over your nose and mouth.
Brake set.
Hold in place with the strap.
Startup is complete.
Pull on
You may
each
disconnect.
side to adjust.
Roger. Good
Put on
engine
your
start.
own
Forward
mask
to
before
disconnect.
helping
See
others.
you at the side. Have a good
If
flight.
you land on water, take the
Only
life jacket
position
from
waiting
under
for the
your
visual.
seat.
Thank you and
Put it
goodbye.
over your head. Pass the tapes around your waist. Click together and pull the strap to adjust. Do not inflate it inside the aircraft. When outside, inflate by pulling the toggle. If it fails to inflate or needs topping up, blow into the tube. There is a light and whistle for attracting attention. We also carry flotation aids for children. Your tray table must now be stowed, armrest down, window blinds open, and seatbelt fastened. We wish you a pleasant flight with EasyJet.
Okay, so I'm just waiting for engine 2 to stabilise, then we'll do the after start checks. Welcome all to everyone who's I've not welcomed. It is a bit of a busy time getting set up to fly, but we've got loads of time in the cruise today, so I'm sure we'll have a good chat once we're airborne. There we go, engine 2 is stabilised, so engine mode selector to normal. APU bleed is off, anti-ice not required, APU master is off, and then we'll turn on the spoilers, rudder and flaps, set the trim. After start checklist, so anti-ice is off, ECAM status is checked, pitch trim is 25.1, rudder is 0. Alright, there we go, we're all good to go. Let's do a flight control check. So full left, neutral, full right, neutral, full up, full down, and neutral, full right, full left on the rudder, and neutral. Charles de Gaulle traffic, Alpine 578 Golf, taxiing now via Tango to holding point Tango 9 for runway 26 right. So there's our taxi route announced on Unicom. Get the lights on and off we go. Not a long taxi this one, so not huge. Let's get the charts up though, because I don't want to get lost. So PEDS check, performance, no change, QNH 1002, flex 6, flex is 66, readability for Alpine 578 Golf.
Thank you very much. American 302.
And yeah, so no change to the performance. Our engine out procedure is a left turn to the Bannock's holding point, and that hold consists of right turns. It's non-standard here, so at 23 miles from the Paris VOR, which is down here, 23 miles, that's a long way. It's a left turn to Bannock's, but we've got to get you out the Paris airspace, I suppose. So that makes sense. We're going to go down to the second taxiway, so just check that we're not in anybody's way. No. Departure is the Letra 5 Echo, and the stop altitude is flight level 120. The G-bots, we are using experimental with this new VNAV, yeah. And the before takeoff checklist then. So our flight controls have been checked, departure briefing is confirmed, flap setting config 1, FMA and takeoff data is 144 blue, 146 magenta, climb nav blue, 1 FD2, flex is 66, ding the cabin. Transponder is set, ECA memo, takeoff no blue, EFB stowed. Now, are the signs here at De Gaulle all correct? I guess we'll find out in a moment. So, said, well, let's do this. Have to try and zoom in to read. So I think, is that, let me just see, that's Romeo Tango 8, yeah, no, that's not what we want, that's Whiskey 6 to the right of us. Keep rolling, keep rolling. I've not heard anyone announce their departure, but I can see someone is departing. Harry H, if you are having trouble with the TCA side stick, then you do need to just go in and the default profile is actually pretty good, but you obviously do need to set things up in the simulator so there's no conflicts as well. If you haven't got rudder pedals, make sure you turn the tiller option off on the EFB. Otherwise you may find steering to be somewhat awkward. Anthony, yeah, I do have the Thrustmaster controller. Let's label that as Whiskey 6. I'm not convinced that is Whiskey 6. I think that was Tango 9. Yes, it was. Okay, so we've gone one taxiway too far. That's okay. Our performance, takeoff performance data is still valid. In fact, we've got a little bit of extra tarmac in front of us now, so all is good. It's worse if you have less tarmac in front of you than you've calculated. That, of course, is not good.
Cabin crew seat for takeoff, please.
Air Gandhi, Captain Matt Russell, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. The cutter does the A320NX have auto VOR? Yeah, auto VOR. By that, do you mean can it track a VOR? No, it cannot track a VOR. Because the real Airbus cannot track a VOR. I've said this quite often. I think it's the only thing a Boeing aircraft does that an Airbus can't. Airbus cannot track VORs. So you have to fly those manually, I'm afraid. Right, so here we are at holding point Tango 10. Just check our approach path. Can't see anything there. Charles de Gaulle traffic Alpine 578 Golf is lining up for departure at runway 26 right, departing on the Letra 5 Echo. Okay, let's get our lights on. And TCAS. Before takeoff, checklist below the line, so our cabinet is secured. Engine mode selector is normal. TCAS TARA packs off. And anti-ice is also off. Anthony, I have the thrust levers as well from Thrustmaster, the Captain's Pack edition, so I don't use the thrust lever on the side stick, so I'm afraid I can't really help you there. Okay, there we go. Sarkotech says I forgot the timer. It's fine. I've been most certainly more than 3 minutes. Alright, I think we're good to go. All checklists are run. Let's get out of here. So, start the timer, set 50% M1. And set takeoff thrust. Man flex, SRS and runway. Bit of a crosswind on this departure as well today. Checked. And V1, rotate. Saw that wind as well just there as we departed. That's nav. So we're going to reduce thrust, but this time with it being noise abatement 1, we're going to keep the nose pitched up. So still hand flying at the moment. Look at that. Also, that is a dead on 90-degree crosswind. Set climb thrust. Thrust climb. SRS. Now as we start to head into this cloud layer, we'll go ahead and turn the anti-ice on. We'll also get the packs on as well. Okay, happy to pop. Autopilot 1 engaged. We'll start to accelerate away in a minute. Just before heading to that cloud layer, let's have a quick see if we can see downtown Paris. I think we're going to be obstructed by the cloud layer in a minute, so we're going to miss that. Paris is in front of us, but so are the clouds. Right, there we go. So we're now in climb mode. And then once we get the altitude past 5,000 feet, we'll set standard pressure. So let's clean up. Passing S speed, flap 0, disarm the spoilers. Full standard pressure. Little gap in the clouds. We're heading for the blue sky. And then once we're out, my apologies to any comments or questions that I may have missed during the climb, but as I say, we've got a nice long cruise today. Flight time I think is about 1 hour 46 minutes in total, so loads of time. If you did have any questions that I may have missed. The G-Bots, you're frustrated, you have the newest experimental, but VNAV's not working. In what sense is it not working, G-Bots? Blue 1247 says the aircraft is very quiet. Oh, actually, I might have just turned down the audio a little bit. I'll just bring that up a little bit as well. That might be a little bit better for you. No on Fruit Juice, great name. No mods for the views, they're just custom views.
While the seatbelt sign is on. We recommend that you keep your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated. Toilets are located at each end of the cabin. Remember that smoking is not permitted at any time. This includes e-cigarettes.
No, this isn't Rex weather, this is just default Microsoft Flight Simulator weather. Looks good, doesn't it? I've not had a problem with it for quite a while, to be honest with you. Right, we're past 10,000 feet, so we're getting the lights on. We can clear the RadNav page out as well. There you go. Sarcotech. Oh, you meant the pushback. Oh, well. It happens. You can, in the real aircraft, you can then go into the do options, and you can find out what time the parking brakes were released, and you can then work it backwards from there. Okay, so let's continue our climb then, shall we? Let's set open climb. Let's set flight level 300 for now. So thrust climb, open climb, flight level 300 blue. Got no air traffic control around, so that's going to be fine. In fact, if we go to the progress page, flight level 330, let's go all the way up to cruise. Flight level 330 blue is set. Oh, such a shame that we're not getting a great view of Paris this afternoon. This flight route, this time of day, would have looked beautiful. Loose Aviation, good afternoon. Losing 2-1, unlucky, mate. Hope the recovery's gone well though. Danny Rubble, good afternoon to you as well. Abagang, the mods that I use, I only use about 10, and they are there's a video on the channel explaining what those 10 mods are and why I use them, etc. And how I think they improve the simulator. To be honest, they're only really minor things, but they make such a big difference. So according to this, we should have our top of climb at around about 65 miles or so, something like that. I think now we're through that turn, we're through the clouds, seatbelt signs are off, and cabin crew's released. No clouds in front of us, let's get the anti-ice off as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, the seatbelt sign has now been turned on. You are now free to move around the cabin and the toilets are now available. However, when in your seat, we recommend that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times in case of unexpected turbulence. Please contact a member of the cabin crew if you require assistance. Thank you.
So Drew, turning on the constraints on the navigation display, they don't affect whether you get your top of climb arrows and speed change points. They have they don't affect those at all. All they do is tell you the constraints on your actual flight route. So for example, there's a speed constraint here of 280 knots at Latra, as you can see just there. Was that in the oh yes, there is. Latra speed 280 knots. To be honest, I didn't even clock that, so good to see that it's holding 280 knots at the moment. That's really nice. Well done, FlyByWire, once again, protecting us from the things I missed. Danny asks, do I... I'm laughing, Danny, because I said the exact same thing earlier. I tried to pronounce the city and I just said I'm calling it Napoleon from now on. But I do have the scenery for Napoleon in as well, so it should be a nice approach. Sarkotech, could I explain what the Pirata or Horo config is in Napoleon Airport? I have absolutely no idea, Sarkotech. I've not even seen those on the chart. In respects to what? If it's are they wind conditions? I've not heard of those. I think I really do need to reinstall Sim Connect. I mean, this isn't normal. I've reinstalled VATSIM vPilot. It's made no difference, but these Sim Connect errors are just plaguing the operation at the moment. So just going to monitor this through the cruise. We'll check the fuel as well. What fuel did we take in the end? Was it? Did we take 7 tons? I honestly can't remember now. I should have written that down. What did we say? We took 7.5 tons, didn't we? That's right. We took 7.5 tons of fuel. Brian, you wondered what that beeping was. Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? It's annoying me. But now hopefully we'll be able to have a nice chilled out Thursday afternoon. As I say, this is my last stream this week because I'm away from tomorrow all weekend. We'll see if we can get one in on Monday, but I'm not sure. Brian, don't forget to try the server connection to the iPad. That is a good idea. Should we go and do that whilst we're climbing? Got to remember where that is. So is this? So if we put that as off, let's try it again. See if it works. Nope. Leave that set to auto. Try again. Nope. No, I'm just getting there. Oh, hang on. Oh, Nick, you're a genius. I'm connected. I now need to go and find my tablet, which one of the kids has probably stolen again. Oh, Nick, spot on, mate. That's a good tip for anyone who was having the same issue as I was. Weird, that, isn't it? And it was 7.5 tons that we took. Thank you for confirming that. See, what would I do without you PMs? Be nice to see how accurate this top of climb is. To be honest with you, these have been pretty good. We'll just see if it keeps moving. The Golden, what do I connect to on the iPad? So it just means that I now have my McDo on a tablet in front of me down here, rather than having to mouse click away on there. Terry, good afternoon. Hope you're well. We've been plagued by lots of cloud over Paris on our departure today. But you know what, when the clouds look this good, it's okay, isn't it? I love the way how all the fields here seem to just radiate out from this town or village, whatever it is down there. The Cultus, what app am I using for that? Not at all. It's the there's no app. It's built into the developer version and experimental version of the FlyByWire A32NX. It's automatic, it's all there for you. You just need to run the external McDo server, which is in one of the FlyByWire folders. Once you've downloaded FlyByWire, you'll see the McDo folder, and it's in there. It's fantastic, so go ahead and try that. So whilst we're climbing, does anyone want to see the approach that we've currently got planned? It's going to be fun, this. So the approach is to come in via Varex and then to Kilo Juliet 601, and then the RNP AR from 601 is this. So from 601 we come into J20, Fox Kilo J20, 602, 603, and then, yeah, doesn't that look good? What really should make this look nice is look at the terrain either side as we come through here. Now you need special permission, airlines need special permission for this, and this procedure is to only be used during the daytime only. So, really, really nice. It's quite a steep descent as well, 3.6, so it's not normal. Just need to make sure that the runway visibility is okay. 2,800 meters, so we'll keep an eye on that. Of course, if it is not, then we'll have to have a change of plan. And we'll come in the other way, runway 20. Not runway 20, sorry, runway 02. But I've never done this approach, so this is going to be really, really cool. I think we'll see any paragliders as well when we come in. Maybe one day. Maybe one day in the sim. Mark say it looks like an interesting approach. Yeah, indeed, indeed it does. There we are. We are at our cruising altitude. Alt cruise. Done. Sean, you've been enjoying some GA flights, especially doing flights in America between Phoenix, Silver City, and then on to Albuquerque using the King Air. Yeah, I mean, Microsoft Flight Simulator's scenery is just built for GA flying, isn't it? J-Hog, good afternoon. Christian, good afternoon as well. Hope you're having a good Thursday. Captain Matt Russell, does Malaga have all the approaches now in the FMC as they were blank for a long time? Well, I have the Navigraph database in here, so they were all there for that. I also had the mod from flightsim.to for their airport. I still don't know an answer to the question, since World Update number 8, has Malaga found its missing runway? There's a lot of banging going on upstairs, and I'm pretty certain that my wife's in. So she's either just fallen over or she's been robbed at gunpoint. I'm not sure which. Blue, where the fudge is Ajaccio? I can't even pronounce it. We're calling it Napoleon. I'll show you. Here is Napoleon Airport. This is a real live flight as well, guys. This is a real route that EasyJet do fly. I think it flies either later tonight or might be. Yeah, so it's there. The northern part of the island, which is French. The southern part, of course, which is south. Southern part, of course, which is Italian. Danny says, yes, they have. Runway 13 is in the default scenery now as well. Well, they couldn't do a world update featuring Spain and not replace Malaga's missing runway, could they? As JJ Smallpiece says, it's Corsica, but thought it would make a bit more sense if we showed it you on a map. I think we've just got a slight hint of a rainbow as well down there. Yeah, there we go. There's definitely a rainbow there. Just see that under the aircraft. No reviews. How do you set up custom views? There's plenty of YouTube videos explaining how to do that, or if you want to be really lazy, then all you need to do is join our Discord server, and in the pilot's briefing room on there you can download these custom views, and it literally is a 30-second thing to download them and just drop them into the right folder. Make sure you get the right folder. There's a video on the channel explaining which folder that is. And if anyone is in the middle of setting up a flight in the A32NX, then let me know if you want any performance calculations. We're testing this as much as we can at the minute, whilst we're trying to get it ready for general release. I keep trying to break it. If I can break it, then I know something needs fixing. Frank, is there a size limit on how big a question one can ask? You can ask any questions you want, Frank. Might not get an answer, but you could certainly ask. Oh look, there's Nick. Good old Nick come in with the custom views video. Thanks, Nick. So if anyone does want these views that I'm using to flick between them, then yeah, you can check that video out. But yeah, they work quite nicely. I'm happy with them. We don't see that view very often, and that's purely because I haven't got it key binded to anything, so I have to actually go in and press Alt 7 to get that one. Grid Farmer, if you're asking a question and not getting an answer, please do ask again. I'm not very good at multitasking.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, you'll be delighted to hear that we're now at our cruising altitude, and we hope to give you nice views throughout the flight as we have good weather ahead and shouldn't be experiencing any turbulence. Of course, this means that you will not spill any of your drinks that you may have from the cabin crew as they begin to start making their way around the aircraft. Could you please ensure that the aisles are kept clear so the cabin crew can offer you their cabin service, which will begin shortly. A reminder that EasyJet Single Pilot channel members are able to access free drinks throughout the duration of the flight. Thank you, and I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the remainder of the flight.
Hey guys, you didn't lose the captain. I just muted the mic a bit ago while I blew my nose and then forgot to unmute it. So, blindfolded, the latest scenery I'm using for the Napoleon is the latest one on FlightSim.to. So that should look nice when we come in. Nick, thank you so much for putting the link in for Sim Connect in the VIP lounge. I really do need that. As you can hear, that beeping away is really driving me nuts. So that's good. Tom says, I like that this stream is for the realistic simulation rather than gaming. However, have you found a way to make the increased sim rate work with the experimental version helpful for long flights? I've not, Tom, but then again, I've not really tried just because I'm always on VATSIM and flying anything other than real time is prohibited usually. Trini asks how First Officer George is doing. Oh, he's been to the vets. He's had a proper trim. It looks like a different dog. In fact, so many. I should have done a before and after video. I'd have posted that in the Discord. I don't think I've ever shown you guys First Officer George, have I? The lovable rogue. I do think it's just amazing. This, from sort of particularly high level up, you look down there, and I reckon if you had a photograph side-by-side comparison, and I have seen them done, various videos and news articles and things, side-by-side comparisons, I think that just looks as realistic as it would in a photograph. Nick, you thought I was checking on my wife, but no, I was blowing my nose. Have to get the important things in first. Danny's at the free scenery from Lochave 5-1. Whichever one was last updated a couple of months ago, Danny. That's the one. David, not flying real time is not allowed on VATSIM. I think I know what you mean, David. Yes, that's right. Not flying real time isn't allowed on VATSIM. That's a bit strict, isn't it? Well, not really, David, because you've got to think about it. If you have aircraft flying around at different sim rates, then they're going to be zipping around all over the shot. It'd be impossible to control. So, yeah. Nick, First Officer George is as mysterious to you guys as HD is. Famolsky, how do I have a heading bug problem with the HC Bravo? I don't have the HC Bravo, I'm afraid, so I can't help with that. I don't know if anybody else in the chat does. Howling Crazy, I'm very well, thank you. Hope you are well. David, on IVAO, you're allowed to do that, are you? As long as you have simulating daylight in your remarks. Oh, wonderful. David, no. Oh, you can simulate whatever time of day you want. No, we're talking about the sim rates. So, yeah, oh, no, of course you can. If it's night time here and I want to do a flight in the daytime, of course, it doesn't matter what time you've got set up in your simulator. They can't tell. Well, that's a nice bank of cloud, isn't it? Not going to see much scenery there. So as we are nicely in the cruise with nothing in front of us, I'm going to go and take this opportunity just to go and grab myself a cup of tea, because rather forgetfully I didn't bring one in to start with, and I don't want a nice long flight without a cup of tea. We've got another hour's flying to do before we are near our approach, so I will come back answer any questions that I may miss during that time. PV981 says, now with VNAV, can you manually set altitude constraints at various waypoints to help the descent, or should you still use the rule of 3? You can manually set them, but always make sure you're using the rule of 3 yourself, just like real pilots do, to make sure that everything is correct. Frank, I'm so sorry that I didn't get this flight announced so as early as some of them. To be honest with you, they are usually just as much as a surprise to me as they are to you. I don't plan these weeks in advance, I promise you. It's literally, right, I've got a couple of hours, let's go. So I do my best. Right guys, yeah, I'm going to go and grab a quick cup of tea. I will be back with you in about 5-10 minutes. Okay, thanks so much, hope you've enjoyed the flight so far. Of course, if you have, please do hit that like button on the stream, and if anyone asks in the chat where I am, would you please let them know that I'm back in the galley. I'll be back with you in a few minutes. Thanks for watching guys, speak in a moment. And I'm back. Oh, that was a very good tea run. 1, I found a Cadbury's cream egg on the side, so that's now gone. 2, I'm laden with jam and toast tea. 3, the sun's come out, and 4, I've managed to find my tablet and nick it back from the kids. So I've now got the McDo in front of me. Oh, this is a lovely way to spend a Thursday afternoon, high above the clouds with great company as well. Hope you guys are all having a good Thursday, and we're giving you something to do, whatever it is you're doing, chilling out with a beer, stuck at work, pretending to work with us on in the background, and just generally providing some nice background entertainment. Looking forward to this arrival as well. Please do stick with us for the arrival. The G-Bots, you have watched us so much you just assumed that you were subscribed already. You're not the first person to have told me that. But thank you, G-Bots, for subscribing. Do appreciate that. Right, well, flight plan says we should be there at around 15:07 Zulu time. I don't believe that. I think it's going to be a little bit longer, because obviously we're going to slow down, so things are going to change then, aren't they? But now I've got a cup of tea and I can think clearly. We're going to start having a look at this approach. Blue 1247. Yeah, everybody hide. Let's bring up the chart. See what we've got. So then, we need to be 6,000 feet at Kilo Juliet 601, and let's just see what other constraints are in this approach. So 6,000 feet here, and then we need to be 3,000 feet by Fox Kilo Juliet 20. Which is a distance there of around about 12 miles here. We've not actually got a distance on there, which is strange. Oh, sorry. Yes, there is. Hang on. Now, here's a threat. There are 2 waypoints with very similar names, Fox Kilo and India Kilo. India Kilo, we need to be at 3,000 feet. So we need to lose 3,000 feet in 12 miles. That should be doable while slowing down. So that's okay. So 6,000 feet here. I want green dot at 601. So this is going to be my plan. Green dot at 601. Flaps 1 as we get to 3,000 feet, and then flaps 2 before we get to Fox Kilo Juliet 20, and then we can look really at being configured nice and early. So gear down flaps 3. In fact, it would probably be more prudent to be gear down flaps 3 by this point, in which case that's only a maximum, isn't it? Hang on, let me just go back a page. Yeah, so that's a maximum of 6,000 feet. I'm going to go for 5,000 feet at 601. That gives me time to get green dot sorted, flaps 1, flaps 2, and then flaps 3 and gear before we start going down the 3.6 degree descent. It's 3.6 degrees, guys. It's a little bit steeper than the norm. David, where does it tell you the expected arrival on the operational flight plan? Well, it tells you how long your flight should take, but I'm looking more specifically here. Right, so let's have a look then at this VNAV programming. So let's find 601, shall we? Right, there it is, 601. We can see there it's got speed 250 and a flight level of 600. Well, you know what? I'm going to edit that. I want a lower altitude by this point. Oh, Mark! Wow, Mark, thank you so much for an incredibly generous super chat donation, Mark. Donation time, £1 for every 1,000 subscribers plus a bit. Thank you for the fantastic streams and all of your hard work and amazing Discord community. Mark, you are more than welcome, mate, and it's great having you on board as part of that. Really, really kind and generous. Appreciate that so much, Mark. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll reward you with a safe landing a little bit later on. Yeah, so instead of this constraint being just less than 6,000 feet, I want to hard code this in. I want to be at 5,000 feet. I want to be at 5,000 feet, so I've got time to get down to green dart and flaps 1, flaps 2, gear down, etc., and all of that before we start going down the final approach path. So let's pop in 5,000 feet. There, done. Now, it would probably make sense to start slowing the aircraft down a little bit here as well, because we've got 12 miles to go, and we've got no real speed constraints showing just here, although obviously the 250 knots because we're below 10,000 feet. I could probably tinker that a little bit and add in a speed constraint here of 230 just to start bringing us back a little bit more. So there at 601 I want 5,000 feet, I'm going to be a speed 230. So that should now be coded in. There we go, and they're both showing us magenta, so we should be able to hit those. That's fine. Then at IKJ20, I want to be at 3,000 feet. Now it tells me here I'm going to miss this. We can see that 3,000 feet. Okay, and I can also start to think about getting flaps out here as well. So we're going to go and put in a speed constraint of 220. And of course, if we're not going to leave it in managed speed, which chances are we're not going to leave it in managed speed, I can pull speed and select these manually, so that's going to be okay. Once we've done that, then of course, then we're pretty much on the slope, aren't we? And the descent begins here. Fox Kilo Juliet 20, which is shown here. Fox Kilo Juliet 20, nice slow speed, and it's got 2,980. Not quite sure why it's showing us 2,980 when mandatory is 3,000, but it doesn't really matter by that point because I'm not going to set that in the FCU. I'm going to set 3,000, and then we're going to pull the 3.6 degree FBA, and we're just going to check then that we've got Juliet 20, we've then got Kilo Juliet 602, 603, and then runway 20. So all in all, that is programmed in and should be working for us. Now, for some reason, in the decel here it says flight level 61. Not sure if you can go in and change the that. No, I don't think you can. And I'm pretty certain you can't go in and clear the decel. No, not allowed. So I get the feeling that that is the reason why it's telling me that this won't work. It may want to then climb us back to flight level 61. Obviously the real aircraft doesn't do this, but we'll see. We shall see. It may not want to do it. It won't do it automatically and climb you up to flight level 61. But that is what this calculation I think is based off of. It's basing us off being at flight level 61 at the decel point before it can get down here. So it thinks, well, hang on, no, you're not going to make it. Soon as we remain at flight level, at altitude 5,000 feet, past the decel point, then it'll think, oh, hang on, yeah, of course, yeah, we can make that. We're not as high as we thought. So hopefully I've explained that enough that it makes a little bit of sense. Quick check on ATC. Seems like we've still no air traffic control on us there. Going to start to see some Alps beneath us. Next stage then, let's make our own top of descent and then compare it. So I want to be 5,000 feet here at Kilo Juliet 601. We're travelling today at flight level 330. So we are going to need to lose 28,000 feet. 28 multiplied by 3 of course is 84. And what's the wind doing? There's a slight tailwind and we're going to slow down as well. So let's call it 95. So let's go into the 95 miles. Let's go into the fixes page. And we'll pop in Kilo Juliet 601 and get a radius ring there of around 95 miles around it. And now let's go on the hunt for the aircraft's top of descent and see what it says. There, we can just see it. So that's where the aircraft thinks we should start descending. If I start the descent where I said, it'll descend us at 1,000 feet per minute and it will catch up with the profile. We could leave it late, but with an approach such as this, I do not want to be left high, because that that would be bad for this this flight. PV91, why do I want to be green dot at 601? What is it and how do you know you want it by then? Thanks. Okay, so PV green dot it's the first in your characteristic speeds of slowing down. Green dot is just your best lift to drag ratio, but aside from that, you know you want to start slowing down. Once you have got green dot, you're normally slow enough to start extending and configuring the flaps, so flaps 1, 2, etc. So once you're at green dot, you know then you're safe. You're usually safe within limits to get flaps 1 out. You can then roll the speed back to about 180 knots. Once you've dropped slow enough beneath below 200 knots, you can then get flaps 2 out, and having flaps 2 out is the key, because flaps 2 gives you all of the drag that you need to be able to slow down and go down. If you've not got flaps 2 out whilst you're descending, then you're not going to be able to slow down as easily. So I'm configuring a lot earlier than normal for this approach, just because basically by here at Fox Kilo Juliet, which is here, Fox Kilo Juliet, before we start to go down the 3.6 degree descent angle, then I want to be gear down flaps 3, which means we've obviously got to start configuring much earlier. So if we are green dot as we arrive here, we then want, as I say, flaps 1 as we leave here to get down safely to 3,000 feet, and flaps 2 because we need to slow down as well, remember. And then from there we can just trundle along quite nicely, getting configured, gear down flaps 3, and then we can start the descent, because there's going to be lots going on here, and then we obviously just need to concentrate on our arrival. Danny, I don't use the lantern. No, I don't. Only because it's something else that we need to run in the background, really. That's the only reason. Sarkotech, enter the window of the McDo doesn't change top of descent. Not at the moment, or certainly not from what I've seen. It's it'll obviously come and it will work, but not just yet. Dwile, you always believe that you'd refer to the plate figures to check flap extension speeds. Yes, of course, they're hard-coded, but your green dot changes. So green dot is changed. So, I'll have a look. So you're referring to these here, aren't you? So there you can see flaps 1 is 230. Well, you know that green dot is always usually going to be below 230 knots. So get down to flaps 1. Get down to green dot. You're then safe to start configuring flaps 1. Once you've got flaps 1 out, you can get down to 180 knots, and then flaps 2, etc. So the idea is that when you're at green dot, you're safe to start configuring. You wouldn't want to start configuring before flaps 1 and doing it the other way around, because you'd probably be at 250 knots below 10,000 feet. PV981, no problem at all. That's why we're here. Now this is a gorgeous view. So we are currently here. I've not got moving maps enabled, but this is where we currently are. And you're looking obviously over to the right. There you go. Not long till we're over the Med. That looks amazing, doesn't it? David, you can't see us on VATSPy. I promise we are. we are on VATSIM. We've just not got any ATC online, sadly. You need to look for the call sign Alpine 578 Golf. While flaps 1 plus F is well, this is where it can get confusing. If you call it particularly if you call it flaps 1 plus F, instead of calling it flaps 1, call it config 1. So config is configuration 1. So configuration 1, in the air, you will get just slats, no flaps, which is why config 1, when you're starting to head down, doesn't generate much drag. You only get the slats out. On the ground, you get config 1 plus F, F standing for flats. So on the ground, you get the spoilers and the flaps. In the air, you just get the spoilers. Blue 1247, can I recommend an aircraft for transatlantic flights? I tried the Headwind A330, but that's because I'm biased towards Airbus. Basically. Right, I'm sending off a weather request. And I also just want to check that fuel as well, see how we're doing. So at Ageview, whatever you want to call this particular waypoint. Let me just see what fuel we should have, then I'll compare it with what we've got. So we should have 4.7 tons, we've got 4.9. Excellent. And what am I going to try and feature the Concorde? As much as I love the Concorde, I like to do, the problem with this is a personal fault of mine. I like to fly things properly. And if I was to fly the Concorde properly, I'd probably need to take a month off to study. Which I just don't have time to do. Hey Chalty, how you doing, mate? Hope you're well. Right, so fuel check is looking good. Let's check the METAR, then we'll enter the data. So wind is 210 at 10, so it's definitely going to be this approach. 210 at 10. Visibility is great. Broken 3,700. Yes, those clouds have come up. That's exactly what we want. Temperature is 15. Low QNH though, 994 hectopascals. Let's go ahead and enter that into the performance page. So 994. Temperature 15. So that's a lot warmer than it is here. Winds 210 at 10. Did I enter that in? There we go. 210 at 10. Let's get the other pieces of information then that we need. So transition altitude is 5,000 feet. And just check that the decision altitude is 637. And we're legally allowed to start the approach. The platform altitude is 3,000 feet. Now, minimum safe altitude as we're coming into talk. In fact, I'll do that in a moment. Let's just get a couple of other things. So the elevation is 17. Let's just have a look at the missed approach. So it's fly out on heading 211 to the Horo holding point. And climbing to 3,000. Okay, let's talk about that minimum safe altitude then and the threats. Well, the threats obviously are the terrain here. We should have decent visibility today when we start to get low down. We've got minimum safe altitude is 11,000 to the northeast of the airfield. Once we've got out, if we had to do a missed approach, it's obviously a lot lower, 3,700, but terrain. So we want to make sure that we don't that we don't come into contact with any granite. Dwyer, good spot. Those winds have gone in wrong, haven't they? 210 at 10. There you go. So that's all programmed in. Of course, to do this approach as well, we'd have to go and check that we've got a high accuracy in the GPS. Marvin Haynes, don't worry too much about the winds aloft at the moment, just because they're not taken into account too much.
Ladies and gentlemen, take full advantage of your tax-free allowances today and make some amazing savings with our boutique range. In your in-flight brochure, you'll find details of our award-winning selection of gifts, most with massive discounts, some of which are exclusive to you as an EasyJet customer. Make the most of your opportunity to shop and save from the comfort of your seat. If you'd like to see any products, have any questions, or would like to make great savings, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
Brandon, when the 737 PMDG comes out, will I make time to switch to Boeing or stay with Airbus? Truth be told, I will probably stay with Airbus. I just prefer flying it, and the amount of time spent, obviously, flying it and learning it. You get to know it, don't you? Actually, this is the experimental version. Yep. Driddy, how about the Phoenix A320? Oh yeah, absolutely. As soon as that comes out, we'll be all over that. Chalty, you've just required a real FMC for the Boeing setup. Wow. Nice. Very nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck once again, you will be delighted to hear that we will shortly be starting our descent into our destination, at which point the cabin crew will start preparing for our arrival. If you could please make sure that all the aisles are clear, the cabin crew are able to make their way around the aircraft without any luggage in the aisles, that would be most appreciated. A reminder for our EasyJet pilot members that free drinks are still available from the cabin crew until the seatbelt signs are turned on. Please note, however, that the toilets will shortly go out of use. Thank you.
And you guys just caught sight of Nice just then. Right, so that was my top of descent that I calculated. I am going to pull that now, and we're going to go down to 5,000 feet. So we're going to use managed descent for this. So mark descent, and we want the local QNH, which is 994 hectopascals. There we go. Thrust idle 5,000 blue. Dyson 300, how do I switch from cockpit to the cabin view? They're custom views, mate. You can download them. They're on our Discord server in the pilot's briefing room. Easy to download, easy to install as well. So what should happen now, because I'm below this, I'm below the profile, because I've started the descent a bit early. What you should start to see is our speed will bleed off, and it should target the lower magenta speed, just the gate, lower magenta gate. And there you go, it's now settled at 1,000 feet per minute, which is what we'd expect. Captain Matt, a very bumpy flight to Tenerife South today. I wish I had more time to fly more long hauls like Manchester to Tenerife, that kind of stuff. During COVID times, lockdown times, we did. Tell you what I haven't done. I haven't gone through the flight plan on the navigation display to see what it looks like. Oh, actually, it looks blooming spot on, doesn't it? Excellent. Really looking forward to this approach, guys. What I've not done before, and if you're just joining us as well, this is the approach through some terrain and an RNAV approach. It's an RNAV approach, or RNP rather, approach. So something a little bit different. Exterminator VNAV is only available in the experimental version at the moment. Steve, at what point during the descent should you switch from standard to local? So because I'm descending to an altitude of 5,000 feet, the transition altitude is also 5,000. As I'm descending down to that, you can set it now. Just because we're above the transition level at the moment doesn't mean that you should stay in standard until you get down to 5,000 and then make the switch, because then you're not going to be at 5,000 feet when you think you are. So when you're descending down to that altitude as we are now, then you can make the switch. I'm quite liking the soundtrack for today's flight as well. It's very Philip Glass, Truman Show-esque. Activity mine has your aircraft has a pink hue in the experimental version. Yeah, I think they did bring that out recently. I'd not updated to that one, but there is a pink hue in the real one as well. Don't ask me why. There just is. So I think that's what they're trying to replicate. China's Rocks, should you delay in case you have an unexpected level off before translation level? So China Rock, no. The moment you are descending down to an altitude below the transition altitude, you need to set local pressure. The opposite is true as well. So today we took off from Paris. Transition altitude in Paris was 5,000 feet, but our initial climb out was flight level 120. So the moment we departed and we started, to get high up, happy and away, then you could pull standard pressure, because you're climbing up to a flight level. But Christian does make a good point. If ATC were online and they told us to hold at flight level 100, then of course that's flight level 100, not an altitude. Flight level is standard, altitude is local, so we would have to pull standard pressure. Chalty, you loved lockdowns. you thought previously you were just unsociable. Now you know you're normal. Now here comes the intercept point. Look, there's our green dot, or thrust idle. So I expect to see the descent rate start to increase. And it's going to keep us up. Hopefully with the green dot. Mark, you've used Flight Simulator since Flight Sim 95. Same here, mate. It was thanks to the COVID lockdown you discovered the huge Flight Sim community. I think the Flight Sim community has a massive boost during lockdown and since the release of Microsoft Flight Simulator. But yeah, Mark, you found other people that were as Flight Sim geeky as me. Oh yeah. Matt, how do you adjust the speed gate in managed descent? Well, you don't really. The speed gates are 20 knots above and 20 knots below your target speed. And your target speed is set via your cost index. It's not doing a bad job at the moment, is it, to be honest? Not doing a bad job at all. Now, what we should do, of course, just to make sure that it's not doing anything daft, is we want to put our first waypoint where I said I want to be 5,000 feet. I want to be 5,000 feet here at Kilo Juliet 601, so I'm going to just pop in here, Kilo Juliet 601. And then I know that I'm around 40-ish miles away from that at the moment. And I've got about 15,000 feet to lose, so yeah, that's okay. One thing I didn't brief, quickly do it now, is what happens when we land. Decent length runway, and as we're landing on runway 20, we are going to roll the full length, I think. I doubt we're going to be able to get off at Bravo or Hotel. So, we'll not use any brakes. And we're going to roll all the way to the end, Alpha, vacate. David, how's the green dot basically on us the whole time for you? It's either too high or too low. Honestly, I don't know how the coding for the fly-by-wire works, but the fact that we started the descent a little sooner, I don't know, maybe it's just giving it time to sort of, instead of play catch-up, it met it halfway down, didn't it? Which is nice. Right, the fun bit starts now. Approach checklist. We've done our arrival brief. Seatbelts are on. Minimums are 637 set. Engine mode selector is normal. EFB is stowed.
Please return to your seats and ensure that your seatbelt is securely fastened. If you are travelling with an infant, please ensure that they are secured safely using the infant seatbelt provided. The toilets will now go out of use until the fasten seatbelt sign is turned on. Please contact a member of the cabin crew if you require assistance. Thank you.
So now, to be honest with you, we've got 10,000 feet to lose, and I've got 31 miles to do it. But I also want to get down to green dot at that point. Look at my speed. I don't want to be at this speed when I get down. So I'm very tempted to pull open descent and throw the spoilers out. It's keeping me on the profile, yes, but to be honest, that profile doesn't look too good at the moment for what it is I'm trying to achieve here. So I am going to pull open descent. We've got thrust idle, open descent. I'm going to pull speed as well. I'm going to keep that speed where it is for a little bit. I'm going to get down beneath the profile, because I need to be slower by the time I get to 601, otherwise this approach isn't going to work. Oscar, my QNH is not in standard because I'm descending to an altitude, not a flight level. Now you can actually see the level off, which is showing that I'm actually going to be at 5,000 feet by this point here, which is fine. I can actually move that a little closer, so let me pop that back into manage speed. We'll hold that there. 10,000 feet's coming up. Accidity, we've just briefed, we're not going to use the auto brake today, don't need it. Chalty, no SimSmart, not yet released, but we're now talking days as opposed to weeks, because we're quite close. Right, so we're now, if you look, we're going to level off, reduce our speed 250 knots. Let's get the lights on. Cloud layer coming up as well. It's cold. Let's get a bit of anti-ice on. "17 miles from the waypoint, and I've got 5,000 feet to lose." Let's arm the approach phase. There we go. Blue, do I know if the runway approach lights really appear as bright during daytime at an angle in the sim? It seems to me, yeah, they are a little bit. They're quite, the real ones, they're almost like lasers. They only face it and shine in one direction. So yeah, they shine in every direction at the moment, don't they? Callum SimSmart is going to be, when it's released, it's £4.75, one off, not a subscription. And no, it doesn't give you a trim setting because it doesn't know how you've loaded your aircraft. So you get your trim setting off your, get it off the McDo. Right, I'm throwing some spoilers out here because if I'm not careful, we're not going to make that 5,000 feet. So we're now at green dot speed, which is ultimately what we wanted as well. Callum, your trim setting, you would find it here. You need to use your check your CFG, and then you'd line it up with the arrow here. You can't see it at this angle. Press Control, I think it's Control 6, gives you the view that you'd need.
Cabin crew, please prepare the cabin for landing.
Okay, so we're going to start configuring now. We're going to go flaps 1, speeds checked, flaps 1. I'm going to hold the speed at 190 knots for the time being. We're going to also set 3,000 blue. And now we're below flaps 2 speed. Let's get flaps 2 out for that extra drag. Flaps 2, speed's checked. Flaps 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will shortly be landing. Please ensure your cabin bag is safely stowed with your laptop inside. Your tray table must be
Speed brakes can
stowed,
go away.
armrest down, and window blind open. You now need to be seated with your seatbelt fastened, ready for landing. Please help us by handing in any rubbish, newspapers, or magazines that you do not want to take with you. The toilets are no longer in service.
Almost getting warm enough to do away with the anti-ice, but here we go. This is exactly what we planned. We wanted flaps 2 out here, so we've got that extra drag to get us down to 3,000 feet by IKJ20. At IKJ20 then, we're going to get gear down flaps 3, and then we fly the final approach in. Napoleon Airport traffic, Alpine 578 Golf, currently 15 miles to the north on the runway 20 RNP approach, 4,300. Just need these clouds to disappear now. Aviation Centre, thank you my friend on Twitch. And Adula, hello. Yeah, VNAV is working in the experimental version. This looks rather grim weather down here, doesn't it? I preferred it up above the clouds. Warm enough to get rid of that now. I'm going to turn these on. These don't actually come on until the landing gears are down anyway, so... Right, that's speed and alt star. So we're still targeting IKJ 20. That's perfect. And we're at 3,000 feet. We're going to leave IKJ 20. We're going to get flaps 3 out. We're going to pull the landing gear down. And then we're going to set a descent at Fox Kilo J20. There's a real danger, the 2 waypoints that have only got 1 letter difference. So this is where we start the descent down.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing.
Okay, we're going to pull the FPA of 3.6 in a moment. We're going to put it into speed so we can slow down. This cloud could do with disappearing. Okay, landing gear. Flaps 3, speed's checked, flaps 3. We're now in nav FPA mode. I'm going to pull 3.6 at 0.3 miles. Okay, down we go. There's our airport. And the fact that we're now visual,
1000.
flight directors off,
1000. 1000.
difficult making a right hand turn in the
1000.
sim.
1000.
2 white, 2 red.
Hundred above. Minimum.
Continue.
500.
Too low. Terrain.
400.
Okay, now we're committed to landing. We've got flaps full. Just get back on that centre line, and from here on in it should just be like
300.
any normal approach.
Two 200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
A little bit of rudder to get us on that centre line. Spoilers are deployed. Reverse green. Rolling out to the end. Quite happy about how I did that. A couple of things halfway through though I realised we'd forgotten. Did anyone run the landing checklist?
Ladies and gentlemen, the cabin crew will shortly be leaving their seats to perform safety-related duties. However, we ask that you remain seated until the fasten seatbelt sign has been switched off. Portable electronic devices for messaging, calls or internet access may now be used. Please make sure that you take all your personal belongings with you, checking in the seat pocket, underneath the seat and in the overhead lockers. Do take care when opening the lockers in case anything falls out. Smoking is not permitted until you reach a designated smoking area. On behalf of the captain and the crew, it has been our pleasure looking after you today. Our ground crew will help you complete your EasyJet journey. For the latest news, promotions, flight and destination information, check out our official Facebook page, Twitter or EasyJet app.
Okay, then we'll go and pick somewhere to park. Whew, that was fun, wasn't it? Something a little bit different. Yeah, so I completely forgot the landing checklist whilst we were manually flying that. You guys can have done that for me. And I think I saw someone ask, why did it say too low terrain? Because at that point I hadn't pulled flaps full. So in order to have suppressed that, I could have done two things. Obviously, I could have gone flaps full, or I could have set flaps 3 landing on the overhead. It would have just stopped that alert going off. But if you've not tried that approach before at home, it's a fun one to try, as you've just seen. Right, parking brake is set. And just before we do turn off the engine power, we'll just let the flaps retract. Blue, do you need to tell the aircraft when you want to land flaps 3? Yes, you do. There is a button just here for landing flaps 3. We weren't ever landing flaps 3. We were always going to do a full land, but until I was committing to the approach, I was leaving it at flaps 3. Flaps have retracted. Let's go ahead and shut down those engines. Engine 1, engine 2. Let's get the bleed air on. Seatbelt signs can come off, beacon light can come off, connect the external power, turn off the fuel pumps, and set the transponder to auto. Wonderful. Well guys, welcome to Napoleon Bonaparte Airport in Corsica. That was fun. Enjoyed that. First time we've done that approach, so really nice, really neat. JJ, you think it would be more sensible to set the warning against the landing gear extension? Well, no, not really, because if we were going to go around, we'd be better going around at flaps 2 than flaps 3, for example. So that's kind of why we leave that late. It doesn't happen very often. It's only very specific approaches anyway, like you've just seen. To be honest, I could probably pull flaps 3 a little bit earlier. I think I was just waiting to see am I going to commit to that, but we did, and thankfully all went well. Great scenery as well. Normally, then you would depart on the opposite runway, and you would land on that runway, obviously much safer out over the Med. So yeah, that's quite neat, isn't it? But good fun, that. Enjoyed it. One for you to try at home if you haven't done it before. This scenery is free, available as well from flightsim.to if you want to go and grab that. So guys, that's me now done until next week for the live streams, as I'm now away following this one. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this as well. Yeah, a good decent stream for us today. Nice effortless flight, apart from the last 90 seconds where we had to think. But other than that, yeah, great fun all around. So thank you so much, guys. Really do appreciate you being with us today on this Thursday afternoon. Hope we've given you something to watch and be entertained with. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Hope everyone has a really good weekend. Thank you so much for watching and being on board with us today. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you to those of you who's donated and contributed to the channel during the flight today. To Mark as well for your exceedingly generous and kind super chat as well. And to the EasyJet Sim Pilot channel members, thank you so much. A reminder as well, SimSmart will be available very soon. We now have its own Discord channel in the EasyJet Sim Pilot Discord server. So if you want any further updates or have got questions about SimSmart, then make sure you join our Discord when you can ask away on there. I'll of course be on Discord over the weekend, just sadly not in the sim. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Goodbye, everyone.